Hey guys, this is Tony Schumacher in Brainerd, Minnesota at the Lucas Oil Nationals. Just getting ready for Indy coming up and a countdown and all the great things that this Army car is going to be able to do. But throughout the week we've been taking questions from our Go Army Facebook and Twitter fans and followers, so I'm going to answer a few. Melissa, the Tour Crib, asks, do you see a difference in racing with the enclosed cockpit, and is it more of a safety issue? Absolutely. That's why we built it. We're not going to notice difference in times. It adds a little bit of weight, and it may be more aerodynamic, but NHRA's made sure to put a wicker on the car and slow it down to not give us an advantage, and that's okay. But the advantage comes with the safety. I mean, it's built very similar to the boat, the enclosed cockpits on the boats, the drag boats. Our guys did an amazing job making it safe so that the safety safari can get in the event of a crash. But the key parts and pieces, birds, magnetos, ignitions, when someone else is crashing next to you and parts are flying, you know, you're going 330 miles an hour, you catch a spark plug in the head and it's like being shot at. So the guys did an amazing job. I'm very comfortable in it. It's going to take a little time to get used to the visual and the sound being fairly different, but you know, all things aside, I ran yesterday and ran a 3791. Antron without the capsule ran a 3791. So there's no performance advantage, but the safety, I know that he wants to put it on, and many of the drivers in the NHRA are already overlooking at it, figuring out how they can get one on their car. It's a good question. Dennis Dart asks, I would like to know, when you do a burnout, how come you don't see the flames from the header pipes? However, when you're on the run, they're very visible, especially at night. At night, you can always see them more. The oxygen's hitting the atmosphere and it's relighting. In the daytime, the flames are the same. I can't see them because I sit in front of them. Why you can't see them is the question. And the question clearly is that the visibility of the fire, as in any fire, comes much more at night. And that's it. Same flame, same horsepower, same everything. Just the visual that you get watching on TV or being in the stands is much, much better at night. So, Steve Consigny asks, I have one question. I've been meaning to send it to ESPN, the adjusted altitude that they talk about every race. Under what condition, temp, humidity, etc., does the adjusted altitude equal the actual altitude? I remember that the adjusted altitude for Denver this year was 9,000 feet, while actual was 5,400 approximately. That's a great question, and there's not many tracks where we see a true adjusted altitude like that. Gainesville, if it's 55 degrees or cool, and we can see it at 0, but more often than not, it's just an adjusted altitude. And we have computer systems all around that will give us that because we're constantly adjusting for that. You know, it kind of ties into one of the other questions and the amount of time we have to get ready for a run. And I think Blaine Marsh asked this. He asked, what's the quickest time to get your car ready? I'll tie these two questions in. The crew has 75 minutes to take the car apart and put it back together, warm it up, and be back on the starting line. In that time, they don't only have to do that, but we come up into the lounge, and Mike Green and Neil have to look at the adjusted altitude, the water grains, the temp. We have to look at the last run we made, see what we could have done to make that more perfect, and then take into account the adjusted altitude and what's happening, because the weather conditions in those times, great example is we run at 11 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. It's still cool, but it gets drastically hotter near 1 o'clock when we run the second run. It may be, you know, and then 3 o'clock it's nearing its hottest temperature, so the air is going away. We have to make power or to get these round winds to get to the finals, where once again the atmospheric conditions come back into our favor to go fast. All that does play a big part of racing. And last, Jeanette Kane asks, how do you counteract the G-force you feel in the Dragster? I put on seat belts. You know, I have a seat behind me and seat belts in front of me, and it's 5.5 Gs to -6 Gs. You know, there's no way to prepare or counter it. It just is what it is. Lots of Gs, like the fighter pilots, when they're pulling side Gs, you know, you have G suits and everything. Our Gs do not pull the blood out of my head like they do in a fighter plane. And I've been up in an F-16, and as you're pulling the Gs, you're going sideways and the G's are pulling the blood out of your head, which could make you pass out. In a dragster, it's pushing the blood into my head. So it's not a problem. And we're only doing it for 3.5 seconds. There's not enough time to have anything go right or wrong. It's great. Anyway, guys, thanks for the Facebook and Twitter fans and followers. Like every race week, myself and Ryan Newman will answer as many questions as we can. So keep them coming, and we look forward to seeing you in Indy.